Welcome, Star Wars fans. Here we talk about all things Star Wars with rumors, facts, news, and random shenanigans. Get ready and strap into your Millennium Falcon. This is the Force Choke Podcast. Hi, and welcome to episode
61.
Wow, of the Force Choke Podcast.
Our podcast is going to collect Social Security soon.
Yeah.
Episode what?
61.
Okay.
It used to be 60
I
episodes.
know. I feel like we just skipped a big chunk
Oh,
and
we're going to do a crazy one.
just picked a number.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, we didn't.
Yeah, we did it.
We did
Episode
not.
61-B1255.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Underscore.
All right.
And we're already off the rails.
Yes. So who are you? I'm Lewis.
I'm Tim.
I'm Sarah sometimes.
I'm Micah.
Sometimes.
I'm Robert. The striker.
And our guest, dun, 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 dun.
Robert
Steggy.
Steagall.
Yes.
Stegosaurus. Actually, my handle
Stegosaurus.
on PS4 is Stegosaurus.
Yes.
Guys, I like it. So, we're here today. We haven't had a podcast since like November.
We had our
Yeah.
holiday break.
Yeah.
Don't judge people. We're
Yeah.
here
We need
now.
a vacation too.
Yeah. We were all at work.
Yeah. So no, not really,
have
but
jobs.
yes.
Right. So we wanted to get together and do a podcast here. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Robert, before we begin? Yeah.
Which you're allowed to say publicly.
What am I allowed to say publicly?
Exactly.
I'm a teacher at a local school.
There you
I'm
go.
not going to name names. I've been a Star Wars fan, you say all my life, because that's almost literally true. I mean, I watched the original at the drive-in when I was 7 years old, I believe. An old camper truck, got a little windmill.
Yeah.
I have to tell you right now, my favorite story about Star Wars just right now is this. So this last spring, I took students on a trip for nationals for Business Professionals of America. And we got to go to Disney World. No Disneyland. I take it back. It was California, Disneyland. And they had the Ray Saber. And I had $100 on me. I'm like, I'm buying that. And all the kids, there's all these kids that are like going, you spent $100 on that. All the adults my age are like, yeah!
What took you so long to get your wallet out?
And that's the funny thing is now having the money to kind of be able to feed into my fun with this. I think is the best part about being an adult now.
Yeah, really, right? I know. I have it's off camera, but you can look over there. I have a Stormtrooper helmet box of the.
So I assume you have the helmet.
It's somewhere. Yeah. Every once in a while, I put one on the table or whatever. Bring out little artifacts and stuff. Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I bought the race. I bought the Ray, and then I bought the Kylo Ren saber for like $80. I got it on super sale. I was up in Dallas, and we always stop at Marshall's. Whenever we see a Marshall's, like, let's stop there. And $80. It was like they had 3 of them. I'm like, I'm buying this.
Usually those, I think that one goes for like $140. Easy.
I saw it for $200 at one point. And I was like, I'm not spending that much money. I'm not insane.
But 80 now. Wait a minute. Pump the brakes. So, right off the bat, I'm curious. Sounds like you're a Star Wars fan.
Oh yeah.
And I mean this I guess a new trilogy.
Right.
Has it excited you? Has it let you down? Give us a little insight, because like you said, you've been watching this since you're a kid.
Right.
At the drive-ins, and now you've spanned the whole trilogy or the whole saga.
People are gonna hate me, but the thing is I go to movies to be entertained.
Yeah.
I go to movies to see the bad guy die and the good guy win, because that doesn't happen in real life, unfortunately. and so I liked it. I liked it. I mean, some of the stuff was kind of telegraphed. Yeah. Kind of like, I know this is good, but still, even the people who like take it apart and everything, I enjoyed it. It was fun. A movie's not fun. If it's a long movie and I'm about 20 minutes and I was like, I gotta go pee.
Yeah.
That's not a good movie for me. I didn't do this in this movie. I sat through the whole thing and it was kind of longish. I didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
There was some dangling stuff. It's like who's gonna end up with who? But again, Star Wars itself has never been an overly character-driven story to me. It's been much more action-driven. So I felt, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna freak out about it. I know there's some people who are like, I hate all these new directors and bring back such and such. But to be honest, I liked it. It was entertaining. I'll be honest though, I really dig The Mandalorian almost more.
Oh, we'll get into that a little bit more later.
Okay.
On my aspect, I kind of feel the same way as you. When I go into a movie, unless it's like a documentary,
right, of course,
you know what I mean, or something that is, okay, this is a true story, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to say I unplug my brain to be entertained, but a little bit.
Right.
If I prepare yourself mentally for the experience.
If I walk out of the movie, and sometimes I've mentioned to Tim or Micah or you or whoever we're with, when we're walking out of the theater, I'll look over to whoever's next to me, sometimes my wife, I'm like, hey, that was fun. Mm-hmm. I had a good time.
Right.
That's enough for me, you know what I mean? And that's the way I felt with The Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
When I left, I was like, man, that was fun. I had a good time, you know what I mean? What about you, Tim?
I loved it, man. Like, I came out of the movie the first time because I saw it.
I've only seen it once.
I saw it 3 times.
You've seen it 3 times.
Okay, I gotta catch up.
Yeah.
So, in all 3 watches, it was good every time. For some reason, the second time was better for me because for me, going into watch a movie, I have a bad habit of like critically analyzing everything for my first watch, and then going in the second time was much more enjoyable because I'm just throwing that all out, and then like Lewis came out the theaters like, hey, I had fun, that was a good movie. Same thing, like it's such a good movie coming out and watching that.
Sarah?
I liked it. I mean, we all walked out. We all had good things to say about Rise of Skywalker.
All of us?
Oh, well,
speak for yourself.
He was a little reserved, but he was pretty much like, I knew it. I liked this, but So, and I mean, y'all have had more time to talk about it because I haven't been in town lately, but I thought you liked it. I liked it. I've seen it twice.
Okay.
I've seen it twice. So with me, it's kind of, I get caught up with the big things. Like, what's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with that? And after that's, like, satisfied, I'll go back and I'll look at it. Like, the first viewing, I didn't see that there was, like, a female-female kiss. Did y'all see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what the heck? All right, fine.
Fine.
I didn't catch that the first time.
I didn't either.
I saw it.
You caught it.
I caught
Okay,
it.
I didn't catch it.
Check that box.
Well, I mean, I guess I was more caught up with the bigger...
The
excitement of the overall,
excitement of the
one.
scene, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So, I enjoyed it the first time, and I kind of went Tim
The
like
female-
on the
the female
second
kiss
time.
you're
No, stop.
Oh, the movie.
Stop.
The movie.
Just the movie.
Okay.
Just
making
the movie.
sure. Just making
Just
sure.
the movie. But the second time, I kind of like started dissecting it, and I don't know, I liked it. It had the little like bits of personality, like with Poe right at the very end. He's got his little.
Like, we kiss now, we're gonna kiss now.
Yeah, so like, we doing this or what?
Yeah. She's like, no.
Or like after Ray passes Ren the Saber and he's like, ta-da.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed that because I like those little bits of personality that come out.
Yeah.
So.
Good.
Sir?
Micah.
Great movie.
It was a great movie.
No, it was great. I just know after the first viewing, things that I thought were going to happen, predicted, whatever, it happened, but I also felt like my initial response was there were also some other actions that happened that I felt that were playing both sides to appease a broader audience rather than just here's the story, love it or hate it kind of thing. But then the second viewing, I had a much deeper appreciation for it because kind of like I think what Tim was saying, usually I would try to go in first viewing like, let me enjoy this, transcendentalism, let me get into the movie, nothing else matters, nothing else is there. And to enjoy it, but I felt like this is the last movie, so I have that in the back of my mind, and I'm like, okay, they addressed that, that's okay, they didn't touch on that kind of thing. I felt like I was more critical of it in the first viewing. But second time, had a much deeper appreciation for it. Yeah, I love the movie. Again, it's Star Wars is, the finality, if you will, of the Skywalker saga. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I just have a couple criticisms, as any fan can have, that I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, it was a great movie.
Well,
His favorite part was when Kylo Ren was running in to "I Need a Hero."
I shared that the other day. Yeah,
That's pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know, and I think that's part of the fandom, right?
Yeah.
Is that, you know, if you can, I don't want to say that's making fun of it, but that's like, you know, if you can do that, somebody spent time doing that.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because either they like it or they want to make fun of it.
Had
That's
so much fun editing
you
that
know?
piece.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think that's what something iconic like Star Wars brings to the world. You know what I mean?
And that's where if you're out, like if you don't, like we were talking about earlier, where if people don't like it, well, then you're kind of host. Like if you don't get cultural references, then you're really kind of like, well, what are you going to talk about when you meet somebody? Like if you're on, I don't know, whatever these dating apps are, and you're like, hey, what are you talking about? It's like
Tinder.
I never watched Star Wars.
The grinder.
Oh my god, you brought it up on this.
Dang.
Okay, now
There's a side story. I don't think we should worry these people about it.
Tim's official grinder is Tim O'Dude, 1985. Everything else, those are made up. Yeah.
Email, fill his mail slot.
Yes.
All right then.
By the way, don't show this to your kids, parents.
But no, I think there's something to be said if you don't, because we were talking about, okay, you talk about Rick and Morty or other shows where there's overlap, because if you don't get the overlap from things, and it's true of literature. Like if you read and you read something, it's like, oh, it relates to this. Well, what if you've never read? What if you're not a reader?
Never exposed to it. Yeah.
Same thing with Star Wars. Star Wars is such an American cultural phenomenon. If you're not familiar with it, then it's kind of like, well, then how do I talk about this, this, and this if you've never seen this?
Yeah.
I don't even want to engage in a conversation with you. You apparently have poor taste.
Well, I mean, you know, I think getting into kind of like I think we all can sit at this table and say that we enjoyed the movie. You know, not that we need to give it a ranking or
Right.
a A+, B+, minus, whatever you want to call
But we
it.
will later. Stay tuned.
But you know, some people have been a little critical
Yeah.
on it.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
And
Like-
I think a movie of this stature,
Yeah.
you know,
It's going to, of course,
Yeah,
draw.
and
Yeah.
we've talked about it in the past. I've mentioned, you know, there are some people when this movie comes out on DVD or to stream or 4K, whatever version it comes out in, there's literally people that will sit with their remote and go frame
By
by frame
By
by frame, and each frame they're gonna take time. Okay, they jacked this up. Okay, they jacked that.
I'm only 13 seconds in. What the hell? There's a coffee cup.
I was going to say, where's the Starbucks?
Yeah, exactly right. Beyond that, though, you know, Micah, you had some thoughts on, you know, things that you thought were maybe not right or they didn't really touch on that were actually really good, you know, topics.
Well, and I think in conversation I've had with most of everyone beforehand, it was just like some things that they would address, say, in a trailer or in previous movies that we would presume to see in this one, and we didn't get. Kind of like Knights of Ren, where almost a thought in passing kind of thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I get that Abrams came in, and real quickly, I remember watching the movie, and I see written by Colin Trevorrow, which I knew was supposed to be the initial director. But then he stepped away, and I'm like, oh, wow, they're still using a lot of his story. Okay, whatever. And realizing J.J. Abrams really came in at the very end. And so it's kind of like, can I really be harsh on this movie? Because we're seeing something that he's kind of like, almost like fixing up, you know, with in lesser time. But anyway, getting back to the movie. So the Knights of Ren, I thought it was almost like a passing type thought. The Force vision, talking about Knights of Ren, was almost like a passing thought. Another criticism I had was, spoiler, I think we already screwed that up, but spoiler, Rey being Palpatine.
Right.
But at the end, kind of given like, yeah, she's almost like choosing her own identity because she hasn't had one before.
Right.
But then I'm a Skywalker now. And it's kind of like, well, where are you on this? You know, it's like, you're supposed to be Palpatine, but now you're Skywalker. It's just some criticisms like that. I just felt like, not to take away from the story, but I just kind of felt it was a means to appease, you know, multiple people. And the whole point of this is I'd rather you know, just throat punch me with whatever you want to do, and I can either like that or not, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, going back to the Knights of Ren, And I was going to bring up something that I've touched on in the past.
Yes, I said it. Throw punch me with it.
No, but the part where you said whether I liked it or not. Like being throw punched. Never mind.
You like being throw punched sometimes.
Depends upon
More to the left.
I just have to try for once.
I was trying to get an analogy together. I started laughing.
Someone's just gonna come up. Hey, Mike, I saw your podcast.
Be like, you like it? Good call.
God. That is gonna be a welcome invitation. Shit. Be
Right,
like,
for real.
do I know you?
Boundaries.
I'm a 6 foot bubble.
I was gonna say, back to what you were talking about with the Knights of Ren. And I was talking to Tim about this. I don't know if you were there, Micah. I was talking to him about it a little bit yesterday. That it seems like we lost a little bit of what the Knights of Ren could have been.
Oh yeah.
In the last film into this film, but we have a little bit more insight on them, and it seems like we may have to go beyond the theatrical releases to get this information.
Right.
Whether it's comic books or novels, Disney Plus, cartoons,
right?
And in this case, from the Visual Dictionary written by Pablo Hidalgo, he confirms that all members of the Knights of Ren are low-level Force sensitives.
I thought so.
So we didn't know if they were Force sensitive or not, but he confirms that they
low-level
are.
Force sensitive.
Yeah.
So, but those are the guys he's fighting. And they all seem to fight fairly well for being just low-level force sensitive.
Right? Yeah. So, and it gives all their names and, the little bit about their backstory and stuff like that. But it seems like from what we've been talking about and what I brought up in the past that we are going to have to go to fill in these gaps in movies where you're like, what? Why didn't they expound on this? We're going to have to go to other media sources to fill all that stuff in. You know what I mean? So,
and I think I told you, like, I've been kind of bad about like reading some of the books that are even the ones that are canon now.
Yeah.
But for this one, I think I'm actually going to, at the very least, get the audiobook or even the book itself for the novelization for episode 9, because I know there's got to be a lot of stuff,
right?
Especially the stuff that either fell to the the editing cut floor or whatever. Just there's probably be a lot of information, because I know some of the points that I've made up in the past. I have seen. There's not a cliff notes on it, I don't think, but like some finer points that were in the novelization for The Force Awakens to kind of drive at some of my theories going forward that we didn't really see in the film. So I think for this one, again, being the finale of it, that I think it would be very, beneficial to get a wider scope of exactly everything that's going on in the context of this film.
And so the problem is that, of course, the intermediate films that they've made, are they going to go back? Because if they didn't do as well critically as they were hoping, like Solo. I mean, so we know that they're friends later, but of course he won the ship. So it kind of begs the question: what did they do to become friends later? You got a whole swath of stuff that you. I mean, and I'm sure they're going to expand upon some of this stuff, but it's like, which way are you going to do it?
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't watch the comics or the cartoons rather, and so I'm kind of like, I've got to be honest. I didn't know that Darth Maul was alive until I saw the Solo thing. I was like, he was cut in half, man. How is that possible? I mean, Kenobi gets hit. Okay, again. Seeing it from the original when I was a kid, he whacks him. He's like, he's just not there.
Yeah.
And now we're going, oh no, here's how that happened. I was like, so he can just make himself just into dust? Because that's kind of crazy. I mean, and then of course we see it later with. I mean, it's kind of funny just perspective-wise. Again, remembering the original films from how I saw them until these new films and how they all kind of like adapted around. And of course, the idea that Force healing, which that seemed to come kind of out of nowhere.
Tim, you have something to say about it?
I will fight you on this, Tim. Don't.
Just do it. Ding ding.
He's gonna say it. I'll let you say it.
You could say it's mostly out of nowhere, but she had, because we saw in the film where she's reading the books that she had
right.
from. So this is knowledge that's passed down for generations. This
right.
from different Jedi users, and we all know that. Not having seen the films, but I know you've read some Legends books now, right? So you know that there's different Jedi users that have different abilities that we don't get to see like in these Star Wars movies. Well, we're finally getting to see it now, and I think Rey has picked up on learning some from reading these books. I don't know how much time she had for reading from the point of Last Jedi, taking the books, and then
applied knowledge.
Now, yeah. And did she experiment on something? Like, how did she know she could do that? Or like,
well, how did she know she had the Force the first time? When you think about that, when she's locked up in the thing and she says, "You're going to drop your blaster and let me go."
Yeah.
I mean, because if you really think about it, from being in that position and how she did it,
where did that come?
Where'd that come from? I mean, she of course knew she must have sensed, of course, because if you sense the Force, you sense the Force. But again, if you were like in just an observer who's never seen it, you're kind of like, how did she know she could do that?
Yeah. There's no explanation.
She didn't even wave her hand.
Yeah. She couldn't wave her hand. So, I mean,
hey, can you see my hand? It's locked up.
Right here. Look here. Okay.
I think that it's not the answer, but I'm just saying in Force Awakens, I don't know about Last Jedi, there's moments where she did have people speaking to her, but it was not said in film. It was just kind of there. It was there, but it wasn't said on film. It was said in that dictionary that they have that comes out after when the film's released.
Right.
I feel the same was going on at that point. If she has, Luke Skywalker is telling her there's like there's thousands of Jedis living inside of you.
Right.
And you hear all those voices at the end.
Right.
They have to be helping her get through all of these situations. One of them has to have answers like, hey.
Yeah.
Use the Force to try and heal this. Do what you can to heal this person.
This is one other thing that I've thought of. There's a Jedi who's canon now, called Quinlan Voss, and he had the ability. So, like, let's say Micah is a Force user, right? And
good or bad.
Either way, right? Damn it. And he gets up and leaves that ball of water there. And I'm a Force user, and I touch it.
You can tell who's touched it before.
And everything that he's done.
Like the history.
And the history of that person, right?
Because they were doing that in the new download game, right?
Because
my son was doing that in the new.
Cal, I think his name is. He has the same ability.
Yeah.
He can grab an object that was used before he can see what happens
with
at that moment.
Yeah. And so, I was thinking, maybe can somehow absorb, like she's touched Kylo Ren, she's touched Luke, she's touched,
things
Snoke.
Touched. Yeah.
Everything she's touched. Maybe she doesn't even know she has that ability. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, okay, spoiler, I guess we already say it again, it's being a Palpatine,
Yeah.
He was powerful. Of course he was powerful. I mean, Yoda like unleashed on him and he survived.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, he's very powerful.
He laughed.
Yeah, but he's nah. Sorry. Well, I mean, he was torn up pretty good. I mean, that's why I said this attack has left me scarred. Really
good intro to it.
It's left me scarred. Ian McDiarmid, by the way, I like him as an actor. He's in a really good side note here. I love movies in general. There's a movie called Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. He's in that as the butler, and he's pretty underutilized. That's pretty funny if you ever watch him because he's actually got a pretty good sense of humor. Of course, you never get to see that because you just see him as the villain.
Yeah.
But anyway, the fact that she's a Palpatine probably means that she has an extreme amount of power just because.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine Palpatine's going, oh, let me heal you. Let me, because I can. I mean, he may have that ability. I can't imagine him utilizing it at all.
I can do a backflip, but I don't want to.
Tim.
I think something has to separate her from the rest. Like, to have that ability, I think it separates her from the rest of the Jedi we know about. Because when you become a Jedi Master, so in the first film, Luke tells her these are your first steps. She's barely learning how to use her power. She doesn't know what to do with it and how to go in and come out of it. The last film, we get him saying, "These are your final steps." She has to learn something new. She has to come out with something different as herself as a Jedi. That's how, as far as her,
Maybe the final steps are choice. That's what kind of gets me on the original Jedi. Like in the new. I always say the first three, the ones back in the 90s. My beef with that is the Jedi Council is kind of messed up on a lot of things. Yeah. They make their whole life about we're going to be like holy and this and that. It's like, but y'all, if you don't understand people's motivations and how you're going to be able to do any of the stuff you're claiming to do, I really have a beef with all this stuff. Oh, yeah. That's why when I was a kid, it's like, yeah, I want to be a Jedi. Now I'm like, I understand the gray. Now I understand the gray thing more than being either dark or white, because I'm kind of like, okay. Yeah. Because you make these pronouncements. It says, only a Sith make these pronouncements. Like, then aren't you making a pronouncement? Like,
exactly right.
Yeah, I've talked a lot of shit about this.
Oh, yeah. Mike has brought a lot of...
They failed Anakin, god damn it!
I mean, but to be fair, Skywalker family kind of whiny. You watch the original, and he's all like, but I was going to tell her, she said she gets a power converter. He whines. Luke whines a lot. But to be fair, I mean, he was raised by an adopted uncle and aunt in a country. Didn't have a lot of... All his friends are leaving. Yeah. I grew up...
No chapstick anywhere.
I grew up in the desert. I grew up near Lubbock. I understand. But he whines an awful lot for a country boy. Like, seriously. Yeah. It's like... And of course, somebody made a practice. One of my favorite bits on this one cartoon I watched where he said... he says, yeah, I used to shoot womp rats. He says... Isn't that the size of a serial killer's animals?
Oh,
God. I mean, if you're such a badass, everyone has to have their Achilles heel on them. Apparently, Skywalker's is whining, crying, bitching, moaning, whatever.
Well, he did, because if you think about it, then he's on that little island again, and he's like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Life sucks. He's going back to whining. He's going back to whining again. I'm just, not this, I like Luke. I'm just saying, he whines an awful lot.
Mm-hmm. Even when Vader tells him, I'm your father.
No, first he says, that's not true. That's impossible.
Well, I want to help you out.
Search your feelings.
Tim.
And then Ray did the same thing.
Pablo Hidalgo is going to help you out here from the Visual Dictionary. Ray has been studying the ancient Jedi scriptures for the last year.
The ancient Jedi text.
A year, she had a year.
And it hints at what she has learned. It seems these texts were so old that they've been believed lost for a millennia. Okay? So their lessons have long since been forgotten by the Jedi. And Ray's translated them with the help of, I think, a linguist. So she's learned about the world between worlds. Y'all remember that from the Rebels?
Yeah. I've heard about it. It's like there's certain parts that I've heard of that, even if I haven't seen the cartoon. So yeah.
So it allows entry into a place where time and space can be manipulated. So she's learned about that in that concept.
It's the Matrix.
Yeah, pretty much. And so
Time Machine Junction.
Yeah, really. You know what I mean? Are you familiar with the Ahsoka character?
I'm sorry?
The Ahsoka character?
Yes, I'm familiar. Yeah, but not.
And that's kind of how she got saved through that world between worlds. So if she's learned about that, I mean, she can have stories beyond the Skywalker.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. I was like, back to the Force healing, right? Because I'm thinking about she's learning it from this.
So the Force healing,
yeah. Luke Skywalker, like, how come nobody was like, how people are right now about the Force healing? Like, she just got that out of nowhere. Like, I get that Luke Skywalker's old; he knows a lot, but for the Force projection, like,
right.
That was out of nowhere too.
But you know what? I think that one actually makes a little more sense to me, because after being with Obi-Wan, he's seen it. After being with Yoda, he's actually seen it in action, so he knows it exists. And so I think knowledge of a thing, and he's been on that island that whole time. Yeah. I think he's kind of at least had the chance to adopt, even if he's been like, I'm never going to do this again. It's like, but he's still kind of.
I don't know if you guys are clairvoyant or not. But this says she's also learned Force techniques derived from other traditions, explaining Luke's Force projection power in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So that's in the text as well.
And it kind of felt like, at least in this last movie, they're really kind of honing in on the whole balance. I mean, I know we've had a long, elongated conversation about this in the past, but the whole balance aspect. So technically speaking, she's like the only light-sided Force user, and there's only one-ish, two-ish dark-sided Force user. So it could be like, okay, well, there's one, so you get everything, kind of thing. You know? Like if she's that powerful and she has the ability, the timing to learn the techniques, it's kind of like maybe if there's multiple ones, then it's like no, you only get one, and you only get one. But if she's the only one, she's like, I've collected them all.
Well, then I think the bad side of that would probably encourage somebody to say, well, if I whack all these people, I'll have more power. Now, that sounds like something Palpatine would do right
she's
there.
She's turned into Palpatine again.
Right.
Well, and that's why it was so beautiful, because she was just
she does have both sides of the
yeah, you can't just
but not at first. The duality was both her and Kylo Ren. And then basically he was dead, but he wasn't dead, but he was dead, and so he's like still there. So he had some.
He had
I had something to talk about that.
The Force life transfer, I think, gave her that side of the Force, but she's able to control it as she trained with Luke. And Luke was like, how come you didn't go into the dark like most people do?
No. She said, no. When they were doing that, when she was opening herself up, he was saying the dark was calling you. You just went there.
Oh,
it's
but
because it was and that's why it kind of reaffirmed my idea.
It didn't really
that she
affect
was,
her. It was just she was like, okay, I was here and I'm out.
If you look at her fighting techniques and how she reacted to things, she go from 0 to 100 real quick. No, I don't think it's.
But
she may not embellish
passionate
herself
towards the light, though. She's like,
but no. Passion is dark side.
Of course, I have a problem with that whole interpretation. I really do. I mean,
doesn't matter. It says it quite literally.
I know.
Passion
it's like
is in the column of the dark side.
Like Yoda when he makes it, he gets angry whenever he's fighting Sidious. He gets mad. I mean, you can't equate
more
that.
Like frustrated.
Yeah, it's like he's angry with them.
No, I know, and it's kind of hard to say it's this way or that way. It's just to me
control it.
No, I get you. It's just to me, and seeing a lot of things that Rey did, the way she acted, it was more so she was using dark sided shit, if you will. That entire fight she had with Kylo Ren in Episode 7, she's looking over him, looking like are you dead? Because I'm gonna finish this shit before the planet parts.
But she didn't have enough. She didn't have enough technique. I mean, at that point, she's still.
Yeah.
When they're at a war, she has to end it, man.
Yeah, but she's like, I'm sorry, but you're gonna make me do this. Smile on my face, slice it in half. But
the thing is that I think almost always, I think the real story here is always about choice. Is that you can choose. I mean, you can have information about a thing, and then you can choose to utilize it or not. And it's the same thing with Luke, in Return of the Jedi. He says, "I won't fight you." He's making that choice. I think there's got to be a third option. It's I'm not going to fight you. It's more like I'm going to fight you, but not feel angry about it or something. But no, anyway. But I mean, maybe
I'm telling someone at work. I was like, they're going to have to start looking at the camera and telling them, because some of the stuff they don't tell you. Now we're gonna have to expect these characters to turn to the camera and explain everything.
It's here's all I'm thinking.
Yeah,
exactly. Like a Basil exposition or something. But let me tell you, sir. Here's what's going on.
The dialogue's gonna have to come out that way. I think that's why shows like The Mandalorian works, because you're taking the time each episode to explain.
And the thing is, you can't read his facial expression.
About the lure.
The motivation thing is kind of just boy, you're just going to have to understand, this is the way. You ain't going to see his face, so this is the way.
Yeah.
So I think the shows are going to be more successful than the movies.
And that's part of the problem, too, is that the movie that you're getting, the theatrical release, is roughly 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But the entire runtime of season 1 of Mandalorian was closer to 5 hours, something like that. So you're obviously getting way more content, enough time to have, here's a thought, let's explore on that, let's talk about what's going on, the background, the surroundings, the feelings and everything. All right, that's done. Episode 2, Episode 3, Episode 4, whatever.
I'd still argue it's more character driven. That's the difference. There's a lot more depth of character. Now, they could have done more, but I mean, again, you're just setting the precedent of Wolf and Cub. That's what it is.
That's what. Yeah, that's what
Wolf
Tim
and Cub.
brought that up.
But it's a good story.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a good story. So I mean, it's more. I like character-driven stuff, and I think you have to have action, of course, because I'm a huge action fan. But you can't just be action, because at some point you're like, okay, this guy's going to die, and I care why. So I mean, you gotta why do you care? What makes you care about this person?
So you need more Quentin Tarantino than this.
Dude, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, bro. I've watched that 4 times. I'm going to watch it again. I love that movie. I'm a huge character-driven fan. I really am.
The last scene. I don't know if everyone's seen it, but that's number 2 all time for me.
Oh man,
He just said
yeah, that. Oh. That scene.
I've seen it.
Oh, you have?
Remember the end? Yeah.
I've got it on TV again, waiting to watch it again. So, yeah.
Lewis, have you seen it?
What?
Do you care if I talk about it or what?
No, go ahead.
Well, just real quick, he's like halfway like stoned or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And
Well,
like,
not just
these
stoned.
people are here to kill me. He's like laughing. Oh, snaps his fingers for the
That
dog.
dog
The dog just starts
okay,
going
yeah.
to town.
Yeah.
That fight scene.
Oh, spoiler for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Ding. I want to do that on the.
Oh, it's
thing.
Tarantino.
3, 2, 1.
I'll just say Tarantino. There's going to be a fight scene.
Yeah. No matter.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna get
somewhere.
gory.
Just-
It's going to get
It's
messy.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Bring your towels, your mops.
Not to take away from Star Wars, but rumor he's doing a Star Trek movie.
I keep talking about that.
Yeah.
A lot of red shirts going to die. That's for sure.
Yeah, for
We
real.
thought a lot of Bothans died. No, there's going to be a lot of red shirts die.
Right?
Oh my gosh. Well,
What if Tarantino had like a side producer gig or a director gig for one of these like standalone Star Wars films?
that'd be kind of cool.
No, if they,
Like for
that would
KOTOR?
or for Solo. If he had done Solo, could you imagine that?
Oh,
No.
wow.
Oh man,
You've seen
It would be
100 people.
gritty. It would
98 people are dead.
Well, you were for gritty. I mean, it would be like that, or if like Nolan did it, it'd be really long, real long.
Yeah.
You have to turn your head a couple times when you're watching it.
What's going on?
Why is the screen constantly doing this?
It's a special effect.
Todd Phillips maybe directing Star Wars.
Oh my gosh.
They're going to start. You need to get some new blood though for the directors.
Did you have any gripes with the movie? Not gripes, but like
there were some cheesy parts, but I
Like,
mean, if you look
Like
at
what? What are you talking about?
Well, no, stop. I need to watch it again.
got a
Just
fast feeling.
specifically, but there was certain points where I was like, "That's a little cheesy. That's a little cheesy."
so where did you
My
find
thing
the
that my
cheese?
stepdad pointed out after we watched it, because I went home right for a week and I watched it with my parents.
This is not saying that you didn't like it, right?
No.
And as Micah and I were talking, we touched a little bit based on this yesterday. You can love something, but still be like,
Tweaks,
that,
little
yes,
tweaks.
yeah,
So,
you know?
like his main thing, why he kind of was just like at one point was the Sith Finder.
Oh,
The Sith
kinda look like
Finder
that
as like
Oh yeah, the
they've been called,
MacGuffin.
like,
Yeah.
holocrons
Yeah.
in the past, and he was like, "That's how creative they got with it." Sith Finder, really? Like that was his.
That is actually in
Yeah.
the visual dictionary.
Oh,
They need an app. They have an app for that.
no, right?
Sith Finder.
Well, it's like Tinder, but swipe right if you're gonna find this dude.
Uber
or
Select?
Wayfinder. The
Where's
Sith Wayfinder. Yeah,
So
but still, it's kind of like
I'm glad
Sith
you brought
maps.
that up. So see, this gives like
Tim, close his laptop.
confirmation that you have to go to other places if you want all this information.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
So what is it, Lewis?
So it says,
Decades of movies and knowledge and books and games and everything.
yeah, you know.
It's like you have to.
But the thing is, but the other side of that is, do you have the time for all that content? I'll be honest, I've never played any.
Yeah.
I mean, I played I think I played the one of the Star Wars video games like for 20 minutes. My son happened to not be playing it. I read the comic books, of course. Like I said, I read that one. I don't know if it's going to be canon or not with the zombie stormtroopers. But then again, if you haven't read all the stuff, like I said, I've read some stuff that other people don't know, or I've read the original comic book that came out after the movie was over, and Jabba the Hutt was a really fat dude wearing a fur coat.
Yes.
So, just saying.
Yeah.
And Mara Jade,
Yeah.
pointing out Mara Jade, that always bugs me about that whole thing. So
Yeah. It does, because, and I hate bringing this all back, but after after the Return of the Jedi was over and they started the novels. I started with the novel like right after, like the day after Return of the Jedi, and I read almost like 30 novels all the way to like when Luke was like 60 something years old, and then Disney was like, nah, that didn't happen.
Forget all that. That'll happen in a dream.
I think Kathleen Kennedy has got the balls to say, we can't create a universe. There's not enough content. There's no books or magazines to go to. I was like,
she said the sequels or moving forward are having problems because there's not enough source material.
It's not enough source.
I remember my brother said that to me. And I was
It's almost word for
If she
word.
could go to a half price books because there's so many Star Wars books at a half price book, just one.
Yeah.
Just one half price book.
If there's word for this, that's the ultimate WTF thing I've ever heard in my life.
You can say it.
What the fuck? Seriously?
Yeah.
Dan
And
said
they never
that
heard
to
the
me,
internet. They've never heard of.
When I
My god! I had not heard that.
You hadn't heard that?
haven't either.
Yeah.
She also didn't like JJ's direction with going with Palpatine as
The ultimate villain, or?
No, as the person that Rey basically got her powers from.
Right.
She didn't like that she got it from a man.
Oh god.
Oh, dude, here we go.
So it was like
This is my only caveat with the modern era.
she's like a
being an old
political.
fart like I
She was
am.
like she
Social
wanted it to
engineering.
be. She wanted the movie to be a little bit more like political for her.
Well,
The
of
thing
course
is that's
yeah. She wore a shirt that said, and there was like 3 or 4 ladies. I think it said the Force is female, and she's been seen wearing that a lot. You know what I mean? And there's pictures of her
What's
wearing
inside the female word?
it. You know, and I mean,
Wow, really?
It's a joke.
what? I missed that. Anyway, so I mean,
And not the nasty
sweet Mother McRae.
you started with
I want to throw this back to something. One of my favorite things to read and watch. There's a guy who's named Joe Bob Briggs. He's on Shudder. If you'll have the opportunity, if you're a horror fan like I am,
Shudder. I
totally-
thought about subscribing to that.
I totally, it's worth every penny. It's my man cave. I sit there with my whiskey and watch it. But anyway, it's really funny. It's about terrible B movies, but then he does all this exegesis that's really interesting. Like he knows the ins and outs of everything. Recently, he wrote a tweet about, I miss horror films from the 70s and 80s because there was the subtext was subtext, and it wasn't like they browbeat you with it. And everybody came unglued on him because basically like, and about how in the 70s, like you had like the final girl thing and women and empowerment, and you don't understand, you're just a white male. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm not saying it didn't exist. He said, but it was sub. It wasn't like you were being browbeat with this idea, and that's how I feel nowadays. My only caveat with all the stuff I love, every geek thing, every nerd thing, everything I love is now about like, well, let's now also make this a political thing too. I'm like, why?
yeah.
Let a story be a good story.
Yeah,
and yes,
exactly.
you have the right to take it apart. We're doing it right now, and it's fun to do with your friends. But beating people with things because you want them to understand your political agenda is one of the worst things we do with this stuff.
And
it's painful.
It's almost like a pimple on the movie or the content or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, and I don't want to. Okay, so the last Avengers movie that came out.
I
Yeah.
knew you were gonna bring
Right.
it up. I knew you were gonna bring it up.
Where-
I know the scene. Yeah, I know exactly what you're
right.
talking about.
And
Yeah.
I didn't even have to say it.
Yes, no,
You
I know
what
exactly
mean?
what you're talking about.
And it's
I would've
like
brought that
I
up.
thought it was great,
Yes. I have
but
no
it
trouble.
didn't make sense.
I have
at
no
that
trouble. It's like this. When I was in the military, I had a woman who could pick me up and carry me, and she
Yeah.
ran with me because I was in the medical profession. You had to be able to lift somebody and run about so many feet. She could physically pick me up and run with me, and that's fine. And it's like if you can do that and it's a natural thing, then do it. But the problem is if you feel like you need to shoehorn
Yeah.
everything in, then it's kind of like you're not telling a story. You're like trying to tell a narrative that you specifically want people to adopt, not here's an aspect of this.
Yeah.
Because in history, I could talk about a million women who are strong and done so many things in history. And I mean, and should we be telling those stories? Oh, yeah, we should be telling those stories, definitely. But feeling you need to shoehorn in something and it feels not natural. It doesn't go with the flow. It's something that you just threw in there. It's like, ha, look at this.
Yeah.
Set my agenda. I'm like, I just want a good story.
And then
I know we were talking about that yesterday with James Bond.
Yeah, that exact scene that I've talked to Sarah here about. If they would have done that exact same scene, but at the beginning of the fight scene,
Right.
I think that would have been like, oh shoot, like, here they come.
Yeah.
But
Wait, what are you talking about?
where it's like the all girl, let's
Like
kick
girl
their ass.
power.
superheroes came in because all the guys were getting their asses kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, here comes the girls to save the day.
Yeah.
And it was like what you said. It wasn't natural. It didn't feel like it
It
cohesive
flowed
with the story. Yeah.
you
It's
know.
and the thing is, and to be honest, in sci-fi stuff, do you show women getting their asses kicked? Do you be fair?
Yeah.
'Cause if you're like, I believe people should be treated equally, and there's an equal ass beating coming. It's like, oh, he's abusive. I'm like, he just abused the hell out of this dude over here. That's just terrible. And again, I don't mean people say this. Oh my God, this is a sexist. I'm not. I believe in treating everybody equally.
Yeah.
Equally crappy is fine. But be equal.
You are all equally worthless in my eyes.
Rick and Morty reference, if y'all ever watched it, where he said, your booze mean nothing to me. I know what makes you cheer. That's
Awesome.
Oh my god.
All right, final
But-
watch it.
Back to the Sith Wayfinder.
Oh yeah. Oh, we talked about that. Okay.
Right? So, from the visual dictionary, we're going to go back to The Last Jedi.
Okay.
And Luke's compass, remember that little compass thing he had? Was actually a Jedi Wayfinder. All right? So,
Okay.
so it's according to the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker Visual Dictionary. Remember, this was put together by Pablo Hidalgo, who's helped do like a whole slew of Star Wars stuff. That was a Jedi equivalent of a Wayfinder, right? So while the Sith Wayfinders helped chart a court to Exegol, the Jedi compass or Wayfinder guided Luke to Ahch-To, which was the first Jedi temple.
Does Ahch-To start with an A?
Yes, AHCH-TO. Let's hear it.
A to not quite Z, but almost.
A to Z.
Well, I mean, it's like, okay, it's being browbeat with certain aspects. I mean, I get it. You could have called it like Cthulhu or whatever, but no, you call it something that's the exact opposite. So you got A at one end and almost Z, not quite Z at the other. So it's kind of like everything is like, we're going to show you the exact opposite. Just so you didn't click, in case you weren't clear, they're the exact opposite. Even alphabetically, they're the exact opposite.
And that makes total sense because Mortis, that had the father, the son, and the daughter,
Is in the middle.
is right in the middle with M.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's supposed to be essentially like almost like the genesis of the controlling factors of the good
like-
and the bad in the world, and the father overlooking
Yeah.
them. Sorry.
Oh, man.
I know.
Again. Shoehorn it again. It's funny. I'm sorry. Sorry. Continue on.
You will
please.
walk this path with us. We will
Right,
make you a
so-
convert.
So there you go.
Yeah.
That wasn't actually a holocron. It was actually a map
Sith
to find,
maps. Jedi maps.
the Sith temple, and then the other one to find the Jedi temple. So I'm certain that there's still holocrons in the Star Wars universe. We just didn't see them in the theatrical releases. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've seen them which are canon in the cartoons, in comic books and stuff like that. But you can tell your stepdad, okay, those are actually maps and not holocrons.
Of course, I'd like to point out that the space is three-dimensional.
Yes.
And not.
Yeah, just flat.
All the maps kind of make it look flat. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not how space works, kids. Anyway.
Guys?
But that's how I want it to make me feel.
Oh my god, this is very true. But so you can go back with that that knowledge from the Visual Dictionary by Pablo Hidalgo. But
Unless they had the XYZ coordinates and not just the XY up on the screen.
Right. Oh, did they do that? Okay.
No, if they did,
yeah.
I could see it being fine to do a flat.
Yeah. Well, it's just because I was thinking about the map to find Luke, the little piece of everything. When you look at it, it still looks like let's put this here's a straight line.
yeah, we're always
That's not how space works. But I mean, but they're flying, of course, through hyperspace.
Hyperspace.
Which is if you're a theoretician, is folded space. Like you actually fold space to jump from one place to another. Although if that's the case, why would you be traveling through long points of time?
Yeah.
Hyperspace, if you're folding space, should be like, you
instantaneous.
shouldn't be like,
A to B.
let me be here for a few hours while we hyperspace to another place. I'm like, that's not how this works, kids.
It's insane. You know, and it's interesting that you bring that up. You know, about, you know, the straight line, because I forgot which episode it was. I think it was episode like 4 or 5 of The Mandalorian, where they're going to go save or get somebody out of a...
Oh, break them out of the thing?
Yeah. And it does show levels of how they're going to have to enter, to get to, you know, a certain point in space.
Because they're plotting where that's going to be, so they have to okay, we have to do this, which probably because there's sensors. Technically, you could probably say there's probably if you control a bit of space, and you would probably have sensors in a general array, so you can anything that pings up, you could find it. But still, I'm kind of like, he's doing all this crazy flying. It's like,
so
Hollywood.
Oh my gosh. So it looks like you said, Robert.
Yeah.
How are you going to find time to fill in all these gaps? You know what I mean? And not only that, it starts getting a little pricey too. You know, let me get the comic book.
Yeah.
The comic books aren't like 75 cents no more.
No,
they're like $5, $6, $7.
And if they're the old ones, you're lucky you can find them at all. I have a friend who collects, and it's
yeah, you know, and then you're talking about, so then you got to get the novel to fill in what the comic book didn't give you. And then look, this video came out. That's another $70, $80. You know? You know, so
what they need is Disney Plus.
You know.
All the written content would be
exactly.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, that's why I want to get
something else.
I want to get the DC Universe, because they do have
digital comics.
They have digital comics on there.
I read both.
And it's only like $6 a month. I want to get it, but I'm still debating. I wish Disney would do that, because they have, unless they're working on that to put all that on there digitally, you know what I mean? Because they have,
I think so,
slews of Star Wars comic books, and you know.
Well, you know, there's always that one thing you will never see on Disney in your entire life: Song of the South.
Wait.
I saw that. I told you how old I am. I saw that when they brought it back to the movies when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That is Song of the South.
Song of the South shows a very lovely time in American history. Basically, it talks about these people who happen to be living on this guy's plantation. You know, just sitting there enjoying the time, telling stories. Yeah, seriously,
with cartoon.
Yeah, they basically tell the story of Brer Rabbit, and it's like Southern tales that slaves used to tell back in the day. But when you watch it, they're telling it through this really kind of like, well, they all choose to be here, you know, working on our farm, telling stories. It wasn't that bad. It's like, it is.
That was a Disney film?
Yes, it was.
God.
It's hard to find these days. I think in Japan you can still find it, and like they pirate it and stuff. But you cannot find it almost anywhere.
Tim, remember the original? I think I showed you the video, like the original, like Mickey Mouse, like cartoons would kind of like insinuate it's okay to take care of yourself if you're feeling down.
Oh yeah.
Shooting yourself, jumping, hanging yourself, like all kinds of stuff. Like, like you're indoctrinating children. If you're not feeling well, you can fix it. And there's a real quick solution. It's like, what the fuck? Disney!
Well, you know,
Disney!
I mean, Looney Tunes was the same way.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, Yosemite Sam, he's like, I'm mad at you, so I'm going to shoot you.
But Looney Tunes doesn't rule the world right now.
No, that's true. Well,
all they need is a bank in their E-Corp.
They've actually gotten fairly good about showing them originally uncut. For a while, Warner Bros. Was cutting them.
Yeah.
But now they're coming back to saying, well, it's like, listen, when these were made, they're still not showing all of them, because there was a couple that were pretty racist. The World War II ones, if you ever go onto YouTube and watch the World War II ones, which I actually, during my lunchtime, love watching the old World War II cartoons. Just kind of, they're interesting to watch. Yeah. Just the way people were. It's just like, God dang. But yeah, I love that. I love old content like that. I really do.
It was a different time. You know what I mean? It was, natural to. I remember watching some of those, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm going to be, in a couple of days here, I'm turning 46. And, you know, I'm like, after, I think, when was it? Maybe like right before the 2000s, right into the, going into the 2000s, I was like, oh, no, they're not showing, you know, Bugs Bunny, and they're not showing...
Boomerang.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like you have to go to certain areas to go see this, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, when I was a kid, I mean... Oh, it's not.
Well, if you release that today, you like your entire company get folded into the ground.
Yeah, exactly. And so...
that's not politically correct.
It's crazy that back then it was cool. You know what I mean? You'd watch it on Saturday mornings or whenever you got home from school and stuff like that, you know?
Of course, you didn't. That's if you had the right channel. See, where I grew up, you only had 3 TV channels. 4 if the weather was just right. You had 4 channels.
Yeah.
All the way from, I grew up in Lubbock, and it was one channel all the way from Dallas. That was when they showed the cartoons.
Oh, yeah?
But the weather had to be just right. If the weather was wrong, you couldn't watch cartoons.
Sorry. But, man, I mean, yeah. So, Song in the South, Tim. You can watch it.
They still have the ride, though. Disney still has a Song in the South ride, but they don't have the it's like, we're not going to talk about this one.
I wonder what the genesis of this ride is. Excuse me?
You don't want to end up on the Small World.
Somebody take it away. So, I'm curious. Sarah? Have you finished The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
You did?
I did.
I'm shocked in a way.
Happy ending.
Because you've been very busy.
I've been,
So busy.
But I binge watched the 2nd season of You yesterday.
Of me?
Congrats.
Of the show You on Netflix. You.
I'm not on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to have to help me.
5, 4,
Netflix
3, 2, 1.
is you.
Netflix
Netflix
has
is me?
a show. Netflix has a show called
Netflix is
Anyway, never mind. Anyway, I caught up on one show that I really enjoyed. I binge watched that. No, not
I need to
me.
stop.
You should just stop.
You should stop.
Okay, I'm going to stop.
Talk to this
But
side of the
I got
table. He's the lost
home.
cause.
Wednesday night, and I watched it Wednesday night.
Okay.
And I want to watch it all the way through now.
From beginning to end.
Because I haven't seen Dominic yet. Have y'all seen Dominic?
Oh wait, you're not caught up on
What?
I am caught up on Mandalorian.
Yeah.
You saw it all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had a
fell
special
asleep.
guest.
I fell asleep a
Must have
couple of
missed
times.
Dominic Pace, and he was a bounty hunter in The Mandalorian.
Nice.
Yeah, so he called in.
Gecko.
Was
that's
it last
awesome.
episode?
Gecko.
It was, I think, our last episode.
Yeah, I remember
Back in
hearing you,
November.
remember you telling me about it.
Yeah, so and he was great. You know what I mean? So
Maybe I missed what he's supposed to look like.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Yeah.
My favorite part, though, is, of course, in the last episode. Can I spoil again? Spoiler.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
He smacks the hell. Everybody hates that guy. Everybody hates Jason Sudeikis now.
Yeah.
Oh, yes! Oh, that was painful.
I like the edgy. That was pretty good, but yeah. Yeah, that was. It was like we hate Jason Sudeikis now.
Yeah, for real. It's a badge of honor. You know, when he punched him, I was like, oh man. But
I thought there's gonna be a thing like, is Baby Yoda gonna have to force choke a bitch?
I was like, why isn't he like, get out of here?
all right, let's pull it up here for you.
And then I saw like a couple of like the nanny
he did
memes
the
on
second
social
time, like,
media,
yeah.
and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it for a little while.
So
Okay.
here's Dominic right here. He's this bounty hunter right
we
here.
can show you.
I need to watch him again.
And
there's a couple scenes when
let's see.
like, I think it was the first episode he's in the background, and then the third episode.
It's the first and third.
background on one of these over here. But this is what is. I guess this.
Do we know if he died
Looks like
in the
that.
show? I hope not.
I don't.
I don't think they're very clear about it, so
No,
leaving it opening for him to come back, possibly, hopefully.
Well, that's good.
It's just because when we see Grief Karga come back, he doesn't even have his regulars.
Well, you see the ones that get shot, and he wasn't one of them. Like he didn't take a hit.
Well, I know, and that's what I'm saying is because they probably left that door open. But after Mando left, and you have all the other Mandalorians kind of just
like I said,
taking
whenever
care
I
of
watch
it.
things for the first time, I get caught up on like the big events.
Yeah.
And then after I know what's already
I still
happening.
love Werner Herzog.
Oh, hell yeah.
He did great.
I love Werner Herzog. He's such my son and I laughed about that a lot because we watched all his old movies. He's something else. He goes, give me the baby.
Right? I mean,
to see the baby.
Oh man, they gave him such great lines too. You know.
Did you hear that he got really bajiggity about the whole do we use CGI or do we use a puppet?
Yeah.
I heard about that.
He was all he's like, don't be a pussy, use the baby. He did. He thought I just told him. I mean, this is a man who actually, one of his films, Fitzcarraldo, they basically dragged a boat through the jungle. Like that was the whole story, is them dragging a boat through the jungle. So I mean,
Okay. I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it's okay now.
Yeah. That's where with, the Mandalorian and
Yeah, he's trying to negotiate before.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not going to get past this.
Yeah, after he took the child.
yeah, and all their phobes go up. Oh, like right before all the Mandalorians come.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you see him in several shots there, but
Okay.
but yeah, go back and and check it out. But no, yeah, his character was awesome. I loved his lines, just his demeanor too.
Yeah, he's really good at being creepy.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite. Okay, again, personal favorite actors: Christopher Lee. Love Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee is probably one of the finest actors that ever produced, and at the same time was also a member of the there's a unit for ungentlemanly warfare, basically like spy. And when he was making a movie with Peter Jackson, he was making he's making
yes.
Lord of the Rings. He says, so when you do this is what a snap neck sounds like. And Christopher Lee looked at him and says, I know what a neck snap looks like.
Oh God!
And of course, I always liked Christopher Lee because I liked him as Dracula, but then I also liked Grand Moff Tarkin. Peter Cushing is my other favorite actor. God, again, creepy, scary as hell, and just so yeah. I got like those old British actors. That's why I really like how they did that with Star Wars. I was using some old British actors, and then randos that nobody's ever heard of before until later. Yeah,
they their casting seems to be on point.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And if you take the sequel trilogy, and you just take let's say Adam Driver for instance, he played a really great
Oh yeah, I love that
character. You know what I mean? I think Ray did a great job.
Yeah.
Daisy Ridley did a great job doing the character.
John Boyega with them.
Oh
yeah, you take all these pieces. They individually they just did a wonderful building of their character. They went for it. You know what I mean? So I mean, I could see, putting myself in their shoes. Like, man, I think I kicked ass.
Yeah.
In this part, why are you giving it grief? You know what I mean? It seems like, you know what I mean. And I don't know if it's. I think Micah brought it up. We need another quote unquote
ensemble
fandom.
Well,
right? What did you say about it yesterday, Mike?
So, you have I guess the fans depending upon when you were brought in, were you original fan, were you brought in with the prequels or whatever, and then also that new niche, if you will, being a toxic fan.
Yeah.
But then I remember a couple podcast episodes before I came up with an idea it was just, I don't know if it was necessarily contrarian, but it was going against the flow of the idea of balance being a predominant theme through the original movies.
Right.
And I got a lot of shit on that. And I'm just kind of so it's should we have another class of these ones that will blindly look at anything Star Wars, anything Lucasfilm, anything Disney, and says, no, this is perfect. This is the way it has to be. It can't be anything different.
Right.
I'm now they're being toxic against fans for fans being critical. Still, like me.
Right.
I appreciate the Star Wars movies. I love the Star Wars movies. But I can have a thought being I don't know if they did this right, or they could have gone this direction.
Right.
And I'm getting shit just because I have a differing opinion.
Well, think about Yoda when he's burning those books, and he basically is like, well,
yeah,
he's like,
They weren't page turners.
Sure, I know. And the thing is, that you know what? To be honest, I almost like that idea. It's and maybe it's to say that again, he's probably saying the Jedi didn't know everything.
Yeah.
And fans. We don't know everything.
Yeah,
we know what we like. And I think, and that's the thing is that, I mean, to be fair, that's why we're getting so much content now, is because, again, fans have money and this is where it's going. But at the same time I don't think that says that we should hang up our hats and not be critical. I think we should all have that. That's what a great society is. You know, you can have friends who say, "Oh, okay, I like this, but I didn't like this. I like this, but I didn't like this," and be fine with that. It's okay. It's not like, "Oh, we should kill you because you don't agree with us. You're not part of our."
Well,
it's like, you're not drinking Kool-Aid with us, so now we have to kill you.
You follow us or you die. Yeah. Take Senator.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fine line, right?
Yeah.
Because you have fans that are like, it's crap, and you have fans that are like, no, this is the best.
Right.
And then you have fans in the middle that are like, there's some good.
A critical eye, I think a critical eye is a healthy thing. I think you have to be critical of stuff. You can't accept that everything that people make is art. I'm a big Stephen King fan, but there were parts of The Dark Tower I was like, bro, I think you're a little up your own ass, bro.
Yeah.
Sarah slang. Sorry. But I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
I think, it's not saying, you're not saying everything's crap. You're saying, maybe this could have been better.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something I'm not getting and somebody else is. And that's where the discussion comes in, is you pick up from different people. It's like, oh, I totally missed. Again, the Black Lives Matter thing, because I kind of like, because somebody even did a meme where it's like, everybody else is like, huh? And the people who've all watched the concert, exactly. And it's like, because I was in the first group, I was like, that's cool.
Like,
yeah,
what the hell that is, that's cool.
It was awesome.
And me, I partake. I've already partaken of the Rebels, the Clone Wars.
Well, I'm going. Now that I have Disney, I'm going to. I just have Disney Plus, but yeah.
And Rebels, Clone Wars, I really love it. It starts off a little kiddie, and then as it moves and progresses through, it's almost like those kids that started with it. They've grown up with it, and it turns to a different area. You know what I mean? If you can if you can pass like season 2 and 3 and get through that, season 4 on, it's a really good payoff.
I had such a deeper appreciation and for Anakin seeing that, because it's like you go from episode 2 to 3 in the movies, it's just like, wait, how do we get here? Kind of thing. And of course there's a lot of story, but seeing this is like, if they had the way he acted in this and actually kept hating Christensen, I think he was a brilliant actor. But keep his attitude from how they did it in the Clone Wars and applied to that, then it would have been perfect for the role. Because in talking about it, just seeing that the thing grew. Oh, well.
Keep hitting me. It's
like, this is very strong feelings
here.
Very excited, but just seeing the progression, as you said, and how they've grown, but also it was wonderful. And I feel like if you get the opportunity, I highly recommend gutting it out maybe through season 1 and season 2, but it starts to really pick up and you're like, oh shit, I'm actually really invested in this now. Especially obviously because you like Star Wars.
And Rebels Rebels I didn't appreciate until it got to its final season. I kind of was watching it just to watch it, and I felt like that way for most of it. I was like, I'm watching it because it's Star Wars and I'm a Star Wars fan, and we really didn't even talk about Rebels through its entire run. I touched base on it here and there, but not until the Worlds Between World happened. It was just like, boom, this gave a whole new dynamic to Star Wars. And when I showed it, Tim was early. So I had watched that episode the night prior to our podcast. Tim was early the next day to our podcast. Although, Tim, I want you to watch something. And I showed it to him, and he's like, whoa, wait a minute. He's just like, wow.
Hold on.
Nice. And it just
was just blowing up. Like, this opens up so many possibilities.
He was like, you remember Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Yeah.
And then at the very end, she's like, it's too much. That was Tim.
Oh yes, I remember
They
Peter
blew it
Chris's
away.
skull.
Oh, ouch.
Wish some other brains exploded there too.
Because if they did that in a movie, man,
It
Yeah.
was still indie.
It was still indie.
It was still indie, dude.
They were trying to pass it off to Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf.
Where did he go?
I like Shiv.
Oh, he's
But
in a
in a
movie.
way,
He was
it was-
actually in a movie.
it was kind
The Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah, yes.
It was really good. I
Everybody keeps
enjoyed
telling me
it.
I should. I
It's
don't watch.
so
It's so
good.
funny. I don't watch many serious films, which is I know we all have our things.
Yeah.
I watched Jojo Rabbit. You know, which
Was that
How was that? I've been dying to watch it. I
loved
just
it
missed it.
because Taika Waititi is funny. Everything he makes is hysterical, and and again we watched it at Draft House, which has this little intro. Sorry if I'm going way off topic here. The intro things are really awesome to watch. So if you don't, you have to go to Alamo. But I saw it there, and they did all of his early films, like when he was making all of his own films when he was like in New Zealand, and he films himself doing all this stuff, and so it's all these cuts with him wearing wigs and things, and it's so stupid. But so funny, and you get an insight into his sense of humor, and then you watch Jojo Rabbit, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is terrible and sad and funny, and it's really well done." So that's, and then of course he's directed Mandalorian, and you can tell the thing about smacking Yoda's. He wrote that in there because because it's terrible and funny and sad, which. I don't know what it is about that sense of humor, but he nails all those things together. So it's not just one thing. It's like I think he's the man. I really like him a lot. He's a really good director. So, but yeah, watch Jojo Rabbit. Oh my God, yes, please. It's really everybody's like, I don't know what you about the Nazis. It's like he's not making Nazi sympathetic. He's not going that route, obviously.
There was a interview with him, and they said like, "Well, how'd you prepare for doing Hitler?" It's like, I don't care. He's an asshole. I mean, he says a much more colorful word, but she says, I didn't have to prepare. He's an asshole. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
It's something to that effect.
And he does it real well. It's so funny. He's like, oh, this guy's gonna get us killed. He's crazy. Well, look at me now. Everything he did was, I love that movie. But yeah, again, if you want insight into Mandalorian, watch that because you can tell how he directed it because it's like again humor, pathos, and of course, and deep tragedy is all there. So I think it's really makes for a good story.
Yeah.
And again, spoiler in The Mandalorian, the sad part of that. I mean, he nailed it, and you feel sympathy for a machine, which is you're a human being. You're like, but I feel bad for the machine.
Yeah, right. Even The Mandalorian does, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he's like, no,
you don't have to do that. And he's like, but I do, and it's like
because he can sense it in his.
You can't fulfill
his I guess voice pattern or something.
Yeah.
So I pick. That's what's funny. It's like everybody says, "Well, should you pick something apart?" It's like, but there's health in picking things apart, and you get the gist of why something is the way it is and how well it's written.
Yeah,
and that was a huge thing I really appreciated from Dominic Pace because I think before we had the opportunity to speak with him, we kind of dissected the Freddie. I call him Freddie PJ now, Freddie Prinze Jr. because he was the voice of one of the central characters in Rebels, Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah,
and he had this like.
One of the remnants of the Jedi had their Padawans.
This is not important right now.
But it's not. I mean, just the back because he doesn't.
I know. I know. I'm just kidding.
So Kanan Jarrus, he was a Padawan of one of the Jedi, right? When Order 66 happened.
Right.
Order 66.
So she kind of shielded him and said, "Get away."
Right.
And he was one of the.
One of
surviving, Padawan Jedi. And so Freddie Prinze Jr. in the Rebels series, as he's grown up now, Freddie Prinze voices this character. Yeah.
And he just had like this 2.5-3 minute rant on another podcast talking about how like no, you're fucking Greek mythology, like a bunch of silly stuff kind of going on with what
I'm gonna pull it up.
George Lucas, how like George Lucas and Dave Filoni like have these directions, and so like if you pay attention, you know exactly what's going to happen in Star Wars.
Right.
So he has his rant and so he's basically saying if you have any different opinions, F off. But then when we had Dominic Pace, it was really great because even him as an actor, part of this was kind of like, no, we have to listen to the fans.
Yeah.
We have to, take the criticisms. Obviously, we want them to enjoy it, but if they don't enjoy it or they have a different opinion, we should be able to take that in as well. And I just really appreciated hearing that from an actor, is to be like, this is my work.
Right.
And the whole point of my work is for you to watch it
and
to get your feedback from that.
Right.
And just realizing that you would get that
It's like
point of view, it made me appreciate him even more.
So is the difference between like, am I doing this because I want to do it the way I want to do it, or am I doing it the way that I was directed, or am I doing it? You know what I'm saying? I guess there's multiple levels to acting, of course. You hope that they do it in such a way that they're doing it not for a paycheck, but they're doing it because they want you to like what they're doing. It's like the lady who played in the Harry Potter, that terrible woman. And
Bella
she played,
Strange.
no, Umbridge, the lady who played Umbridge.
Oh,
and she basically, and people
But
like
she
see
did
her
it-
in public and like hate her, and she goes,
Yeah.
"I love that because that means I did a really good job."
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
that's kind of how acting ought to be. Guys. You should be able. I mean, sometimes that's bad. You can't separate the person from the character, but at the same time, I mean, that means it was a really well done character.
So, absolutely.
I mean, well, especially the kid that played Joffrey.
I was just
And
thinking
give it
about
the-
that right
yeah.
now. I wasn't saying it.
And that's why he stopped acting. He said, "I'm not gonna act for him."
I was thinking about the broom kid.
Go away.
Oh, sorry.
The broom kid at the end of episode 8, The Last Jedi,
Oh,
where he's just sitting there, he's looking up,
oh,
and then he goes to for the broom, and it just like comes to him.
no.
I'm like, shut up, Ryan Johnson.
It was magical.
Although,
It's magical.
before you go, Ryan Johnson, I friggin' love that last movie he directed, Knives Out.
Knives
I want to
Yeah,
see
really
it.
well done.
Well, it's,
It was really good.
and having that conversation with Lewis, like if you look at it, the movie is really well done.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, Star Wars is going this direction. Ryan Johnson, we're going this direction. Like you,
There was a throat punch,
huge-
and you didn't like it.
You like the throw punch.
I mean, like that throw punch.
You said
Very
whether you like it or
specific about
If you
not.
waited long enough, it came back around.
Timing's everything.
I was surprised you actually pulled that up. But yeah, no, I really want to see Knives though.
Oh, it's really
It's
well done.
really good.
It's really good.
But I mean, I think even going forward, if you've been hearing rumors for the last year, like going back and forth. If he keeps his trilogy, I'm not deterred from seeing his own Star Wars trilogy
Right.
because it would be his own essential story in the
Right.
universe, if
Right.
you will, but not preceding 7 movies to this
Right.
coming up. So like I would definitely be interested in seeing that.
Right.
It's just I know there's this like bad air around him right now because of what he decided, the choices he made with 8.
Yeah.
So bad air. I'm gonna have you listen to this.
Okay.
Oh
Tell me
Jesus!
what
You are going to listen to it, aren't you? The Freddie PJ.
I did a Star Wars cartoon, so even I get hate from Star Wars fans when I'm like, look, dog, you're just mad the franchise isn't aging with you.
Right.
But that ain't how it works. The first one was for fucking kids.
Right.
The second 3 were for different fucking kids. And this one is for kids. You just pissed off that Han Solo gave the fucking Millennium Falcon to a girl. That's it. Because Luke Skywalker's Cinderella. Or Sleeping Beauty,
Yeah.
okay? He can talk to things that don't speak English and understands what they're fucking saying. He gets a fairy godfather instead of a fairy godmother who teaches him how to be the best Jedi in the world in no time fucking flat. And everybody, like, I know more about the Force than most people because Dave Filoni taught me and George Lucas taught him. And all these video games have fucked people up on what the Force is. Like, Luke's skill doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses.
Right.
The Emperor doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses. The Force dictates who wins or loses based on balance. And here's the quick version on how to explain it to all these people who fucking think they get to decide. In the first if you want to do this like time-wise, Palpatine, you would say, and Yoda are the smartest too. Palpatine clearly smarter because Yoda was blind to the power of the dark side and the seduction of Anakin. So let's talk about the seduction of Anakin fucking Skywalker for a second. If the Emperor is the smartest dude in the universe and knows that the Force dictates this, if he kills who he sees as a rival, Anakin, then he knows the Force is just going to fucking correct that because the Emperor knows this. These are George Lucas's words, not mine, so fuck you if you disagree with me. Straight up, this is information, not affirmation time. Straight up, man. So the Emperor knows that. So instead of killing Anakin, what does he do? He seduces Anakin to double the strength of the dark side. So then what does the Force do? It balances us. How? It gives us twins, Luke and Leia. 2 and fucking 2. Balance. And if you look at the movie through just that simple perspective, you will not only know why every single bad guy loses and every single good guy loses, you'll know who's gonna win and lose in the next fucking movies. I can tell you, I just don't want to wreck it. People bitch about the dumbest shit like it's archetype characters. This is George Lucas's words. There is no Jack Bauer in Star Wars. That character doesn't exist. It's not Han Solo. Han Solo's a reluctant hero, okay? He's a reluctant hero. That's the archetype. Darth Maul, where everybody wants to win, and he's everyone's favorite because he looks sick and he's great in the video games.
Does look cool.
Fuck you guys. He's Sisyphus. He is born to fail. Learn your Greek mythology like, I don't know, George fucking Lucas did. He's cursed to roll a boulder up the hill only to have it roll to the bottom again every single time for eternity.
Yes.
That is Darth Maul's quest.
Yes.
He's in on the joke, you guys. He knows it. He's just cursed to live that life. Again, not my opinion. George Lucas's. So go fuck yourself if you disagree. You don't get to level up in the Star Wars world. That's a fucking video game. There's no such thing as a gray Jedi. Why not even says I turn towards the light because it's there? There's no gray. There's no that's pretend fan fiction shit, which is cool, but don't try to canonize it because it doesn't work. And I'm never gonna buy it ever. Star Wars is for fucking kids. Sorry. I'm sorry. I did a Star Wars part too.
Maybe I would argue that he's wrong in several regards. If I recall, the reason why we had to wait so long from the first three movies is because Lucas got divorced, and he didn't want to give his wife any money from any of his movies. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, I think it's not just about archetypes. Mm-hmm. By the way, the idea of archetypes is not just Greek mythology. It comes from the very idea. It comes from everything. I mean, you can see it in them. If you ever pick up a bunch of tarot cards, there's archetypes in tarot cards. I don't know. I mean, I saw the gray stuff in lots of other things too, besides just fan fiction.
Yeah.
The thing is Lucas may have started it, but he doesn't own it anymore.
Micah brings that up all the time. He gave it up to everybody else who's helped direct and make it. I mean, he may have started the universe, but the universe has gotten past him. Yeah.
And so getting hung up on, well, this is the only way it can be. I mean, and fans shouldn't do that either. I mean, there's other directions. We may not always like the way it goes. But that's the real world too. Yeah. The real world kind of always is going to have an effect on this. Yeah. And money's going to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can do it like, hey, these guys, they owe me some money.
Exactly what I was thinking.
My sons and I do that all the time. We're like, God, that's some of the characters in that thing are so racist. Jesus.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they go shake these guys down. They owe me money.
Oh my God, that's too funny. That's coming from an insider, right?
And insider. He's no longer inside anymore because Rebels is over.
True. You know what I mean?
Outside.
And
you're now part of us, and you're just pissed off. So fuck you.
Get right back. I don't know. Anybody who feels like they have to drop the F-bomb consistently is probably,
Yeah,
we counted it.
Yeah, we counted. I
That's
remember.
quite a few. I mean, I dropped them occasionally, but good God.
Yeah.
Especially for him being a representative of things that are for kids only.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's like, calm down, buddy.
Robert, you bring up a really great point that Lucas, he sold it.
Yeah.
They can go to him for reference or whatever the case may be.
And sometimes they do, often actually.
Yeah.
They did for the ending of this movie.
But
in The Mandalorian too.
I'm very curious, and I brought it up very briefly in some of our podcasts, that now that we're in January, something's coming out called Project Illumination. Mm-hmm. And there's very little information given except for there's going to be books, comic books, and novels about what this project is. Mm. We don't know where in the timeline it's going to be, but I've taken some snippets where, like, I think it's Yoda that says, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. He tells Luke, right? And so I'm curious because they've already have, a slate of stuff coming out beginning this month and into the future. Is this going to lead up to the new movie that's coming out? Is this going to change what the Force is all about? Project Illumination.
Should we talk about midichlorians?
You know, and maybe because it looked like that, that's what they were trying to extract from the Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Fuck, I didn't think about that. Because I knew that about the DNA because we discussed that the guy was wearing the symbol from the cloning facility on Camino. I didn't think about the midichlorians thing though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can't they call it a microscopic organism, a bacteria essentially. You can grow fucking bacteria.
Yeah.
That'd be that'd be nice.
Yeah, and Quill said,
Well, the thing is, I mean,
you didn't bring this up before.
The thing is, but what's funny is if you're watching Mandalorian and you want to watch the movie at the same time, is of course why they did it.
Yeah.
You could always argue, well, they were doing it specifically for Palpatine.
Be careful.
That's
please. Yeah. Please don't. I know you got long legs, but whatever.
But yeah,
I like my men with long legs. Wait, what?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm editing this.
And
that was a wink under the sun.
The long legs and fruit punches. More insight into my.
Hey, it's a new world. It's a new year. I can do whatever the fuck I want to.
Yeah.
But
doing get punched in the throat. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Marks the spot.
Okay. So I'm really curious where they're gonna take Star Wars moving into the future. You know, we've touched base upon like when Luke says, I have the Force and my father had it before me.
Yeah.
I am the Force. The Force is with me.
It felt like it was a hereditary thing,
right?
And now they've moved into like, oh well, these guys have it, and those guys have it. Anybody can have it. You know what I mean? And maybe they just don't have it as much as them.
Well, maybe that's and that's the thing is if it is a bacterium and it were like released out into the world, then everybody. I mean, then it might just be like the amount, like if it's a viral, or if it's a virus, if it were a viral loads vary from person to person, and then it could be you could have somebody who's just like. Of course, that means that Luke is just basically, or not Luke, but Anakin was basically just a huge virus, still walking virus, which would explain a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be mean to my boy. My boy.
What do you think, Sarah?
About medical things?
Where this might lead to.
I don't know.
Come
I'm bad
on,
at predicting
nurse.
stuff. What?
No, not
because I'm thinking maybe.
Not asking you to predict.
What if it's like mutations? I know they said that it was a microorganism in the Phantom Menace. Okay, leave it at that. But what if it's like, what if it is genetically linked, but also a possible mutation in other people that they're able to?
Some people are not. Some people can get it, and some people can't.
Right.
Well, in the books, I remember reading one of the books. It was the Thrawn books.
Oh, those are so good.
Yeah, where he basically talks about like they had a whole bunch. These people were carrying these plants, and the plants actually like negated force values near them. Yeah, and there's a couple of things like that. I remember. Yeah,
that's in the Heir to the Empire series.
There's just a lot that could happen,
and that's like for me. When Disney says they're going to come up with their own thing, because I've been hearing some speculation about this as well, and also some differing opinions from friends, that it's kind of like, I don't think I'm going to like, the direction Disney goes with it. It's like, but they're not going to make this monumental thing that'll essentially rewrite 1 through 9, but they're just going to take it in the direction that they want, I think, with keeping that in respect. So, and I think that was also a big point that Lucas sold, Lucasfilm for $4.1 billion to Disney was the ability of continuing his legacy, his story, because he also didn't want to continue with it. And the fact is that now you have this company running the world that they have the money, the means, and the abilities to put the stuff out. And I think, if anything, it's great for the fans because even as you said, like, they have something for everyone. Like for me, I didn't choose to watch the Resistance show. I didn't watch Forces of Destiny. I knew those weren't going to be my cup of tea, but they're going to be doing so many things. It's like, let's see what they're going to do before you sit there and shun it, And because, like I said, in mind, they may want to take this in a slightly different direction, but now would be the time to do so, being that, again, that is a Skywalker saga, and that they can take this in a different direction. It's not going to be like, now the Force is an exclusively bad thing.
Yeah.
They're not going to do those fundamental changes.
I would also argue the universe, when you say Star Wars universe, the universe is a massive place. You're going to have people who've never heard of Luke.
Yeah.
In that same universe, they've never heard of him. The hell's a Jedi?
Yeah.
Why's that guy carrying out a gun? We got blasters. I mean,
Yeah, and that's a really great point, because in The Mandalorian, when the Baby Yoda does his thing, they're kind of like, what the hell?
Oh,
yeah, what's going on? Yeah, exactly.
They don't even, what?
Exactly.
And Quill is like, well, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
You know, but he doesn't even know what to call it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no good for a blaster exercise.
Yeah, you know, some people think, I mean, even Rey thought that, you know, like
was
Luke was a
stories,
legend.
yeah.
You know what I mean? She didn't know that was true.
Yeah, and they even explained that at the beginning of 7, because it's like this passage of time and only so many people are, I guess, technically prescribing to that. It's like it's almost made a legend.
Yeah. Maybe they'll revisit. We've talked about it. Maybe they'll revisit Rey and her story several years from now, and at that time, then she'll be your legend.
I am sure at some point. I'm quite sure at some point when she's older, they'll be like, "Hey, you know what we should do? Let's have a new Jedi school. We got all these young actors and need some money. Let's do that."
Yeah, you know,
let's spread the midichlorians.
Spread the what?
Midichlorians.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, because we're calling it ancient religion.
Yeah.
It's like, when's the last time we've seen that in the past? Let's spread, insert Christianity. Well, I wouldn't say any other religion because I think it would be bad. But anyway, you understand what I'm saying.
Well, I saw. Well, actually, somebody did a Dune post because I love Dune, and somebody made a post about that. It's like, yeah, you know, Luke is like space Jesus, but man, consider that you got this guy who like a white guy who actually controls the entire universe. It's like he becomes Space Muhammad. It's a Dune reference, kids. If you haven't read it, read the book.
Oh, the movie.
The new movie's going to be. Sorry, if y'all stop doing that one, that should be the next video too. Because
when is that coming out?
This spring, I believe.
Really?
I have to check my thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
soon. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about it, but
It's close. I mean, they'll finalize. I think they're just doing all the the posts and everything. But yeah, I've been.
Yeah.
I know some of these is like, oh my god, it's so awesome. Then I look at the date on it, I'm like, forget about it until it comes back.
I've been waiting way too long for this. Yeah, and I think they're going to do it as a 3-parter. So.
Oh, sweet.
Because it's a big book.
Yeah, it's
massive.
huge.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, because when did the last one come out? 80 something?
Oh yeah, well, wait. There's the movie, and there's multiple cuts of the movie. If you're ever interested, I have one that somebody in Italy did where they basically recut all the beginnings to make it kind of closer to what the book was, and I love that cut that somebody did. Like, and it basically has all these old ones. Like some were shown in Italy, some were shown in the U.S. They re-edited it in such a way that made a lot more sense if you read the book. Oh. And then, of course, there are the 2 TV ones they made on Sci-Fi, which.
Yeah, I didn't even bother with those.
Yeah, they're not good at all.
I'm just semi-familiar with the original. Well, to me, the original.
Yeah.
The movie was with William Hurt, right?
No. Oh no, that was the TV one. That was the TV one. The original movie one was Colin McLaughlin.
Sting came out in.
Yeah, Sting. Yeah, all these really good actors. I mean, it was in a lot of ways it was like Star Wars. I think they were almost trying to kind of capitalize on the Star Wars thing. Yeah, the sci-fi push. Yeah. Yeah.
21st century, yay! We're moving forward.
Now that this movie's series saga is over.
No, it's not.
Don't dream.
That's what they're saying. Supposedly, Bob Iger says that they're going to take a hiatus.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit.
2-year hiatus.
2-year hiatus. Yeah.
How long does it take them to make a movie? Well, what do y'all think about that? He said a hiatus. To me, a hiatus would be like 5.
We'll come back in 5 years and
6
revisit
years.
it. Yeah.
What
From like the originals to the prequels.
That's
Be
a hiatus.
Now that's a hiatus.
That would be a hiatus, or between the
right
prequels to now.
All I could use said that's a hiatus.
That's a hiatus.
Hiatus.
Or do you think they're just scrapping it?
Well,
whatever that they were thinking about making.
Well, I'm not sure because I know we've kind of speculated a lot on that, but I remember when they said that, and then it was hardly any time it actually passed, and when they actually said, yeah, the next movie should approximately come out 2022 21, 2022, whatever. Where it's kind of like, it seemed like that was a direct response to the toxic fans that, gave shit to The Last Jedi. And then because of that, it seemed like the Solo movie suffered.
Yeah.
And it seemed at that point, that's when Iger said that we're going to be, revisiting this and making our hiatus. So I think if anything, that was just them saying, you want to talk shit? You don't want to, back the movie? If you just wanted to have nothing but negative comments, maybe you don't get anything.
Bad child, and we're going to withhold your toys.
Exactly.
No choice for you.
And I think if anything, that might have been like just a public or vocal response to sit there and be like, be careful what you wish for. Because at that point, it's kind of like, oh, you're doing what now? So,
I don't think they're going to be able to. They're at least going to have to make new content for Disney because that the Mandalorian, that they're pulling down. Of course, the funny thing is there were people who were like, "Yeah, Mandalorian's over. Cancel Disney Plus." I'm like, there's too many things on there. I think it's worth having. But there were some people. It was like Game of Thrones on HBO. Some people, oh, that's over. Okay, like you're on my HBO thing. So I think Disney's going to have. If they're going to make that the cash cow, they're going to have to put more effort in. Mandalorian's good. But it's like, what's the next thing? Also, they're like, and then?
And what else?
And then?
And then. Speaking of and then, right? They're already in the works with Ewan McGregor for Obi-Wan series, right?
Yep.
Limited series.
Right,
I think
of course.
it's like 6 or 8. So it's going to be as long as The Mandalorian. And then it's
probably just to fill in, it's like watching over Luke the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like a creepy old man watching Luke.
It's like from a distance.
Like, what was that?
Mr. Herbert? Like Herbert the pervert? Well, Luke, look how strong that force over there.
I've had the time of my life. If you haven't seen Blue Harvest, Family Guy, you got
I know exactly what you're talking
to you.
His lightsaber is all like... Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So we get Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah.
And then they're going to continue The Mandalorian.
Right, of course.
What else are they talking
I heard
about?
Cassian Andor?
Cassian Andor. Yeah, they're going to do a Cassian Andor series.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from Rogue One.
Yeah, I'm just like, we already know how that ends.
Yes.
I guess maybe they're going to talk about what makes him such a... He goes from being like I'm fighting for the... to being like,
yeah.
Oh, you're in my way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That was the first thing that hit me when I watched the movie. It's like this self-proclaimed good guy killing someone for the sake of the cause.
Yeah.
It's like, good guy, we're a little loose with that word, aren't we?
Han Solo suffers.
Yeah, but he wasn't a good guy. He was just a bad guy.
Speaking of that, have you seen on the new version on Disney Plus?
Oh shit!
They redid that scene
again
with Han Solo and Greedo.
Yes.
Why?
Because
so what is it now? What is it now?
So before George Lucas sold Disney,
oh my God, George Lucas!
Wait, before George Lucas sold it to Disney,
right.
He was getting ready to make. He only did it with A New Hope, the 4K version of Star Wars, and he was going to do it to all of them, right? And then they were going to do the 3D releases in theaters, but they only did the Phantom Menace. So when he got hold of A New Hope to do the 4K version, so now Han Solo and Greedo shoot at the same time, but Greedo misses. But before that, Greedo says something like McClunky, and then they both shoot, and then Greedo dies.
Yeah, they actually added a never before scene, I guess, or never before publicized extra line of dialogue for him, or an extra word of dialogue, whatever. Well, that too, and they also try to fix up the special edition when they added Jabba and the loading bay, the spaceport,
yeah.
Where he's about to get on the Falcon before he takes off from Mos Eisley. Yeah. And it just looks so terrible, and even then now it's
where he's walking on his tail.
Yeah, it looks like it's a block, like doing this, like you know. And now they kind of like try to smooth it out, but it just still looks. I'm like, just get rid of this scene. It looks bad.
Well, it was in the comic book. It wasn't a comic, but again, he was a dude with a fur coat.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And I've seen that. I've seen that edit, the original edit, where it was the dude in the fur coat and he was talking to him in English and stuff like that. That was floating around for a while, I think, on YouTube and stuff. You could actually watch what they originally filmed, and that's why I was in the comic book, because the comic book was like scene for scene. It was like basically like the storyboard, and that's what they turned into a comic book. So that's why when I saw the movie, I was like, but I didn't see that Jabba didn't show Jabba in that. When I saw the movie and I read the comics, I didn't show the dude, and then. But that was from the storyboard. I think that's why I did it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it existed. They filmed it. They just didn't like it because it seemed like too much extraneous stuff.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, it was cool because you got to see Jabba, and then it was like it kind of slowed the pacing of the movie because you like really didn't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you kind of had a feeling.
You already got found. This is not a nice man.
Yeah, and then he tells Chewie, "Hey, this might save our neck or my neck or whatever."
Yeah.
You already got that feeling. You didn't need
the extra.
Yeah, that extra part.
That makes sense now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that because he says you're a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
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 I brought that up and you never said that, so you better not correct me.
No, well, I know what he's talking about because...
Oh, I didn't realize that, but I've made that point across just to say, like, how Han is, like, you know, catchy, like, for screwing with people. He's like, you're a wonderful human being. I was like, no, he's not. He's a big-ass slug. Like,
because he had, like, a furry... Like
well, I mean, but there was talk. But see, the thing is, when they filmed it, they were kind of thinking that they were going to put something there.
They thought claymation.
Claymation or something. They weren't sure what they were going to do, and they eventually figured it was too expensive, and that's why they cut that scene.
Yeah,
it's because like, well, we don't need it anyway. But then when they added the re-edit in, it worked. It does work, but it's just stupid. I get you. It is kind of
All right, so here's the newer version.
Oh, can you say that?
Yeah. Yes, they had that all in. Yep.
Wow.
McClunky. What is McClunky? Because
draw.
maybe that's what that means because there's subtitles.
And then
but not for that one word
for a long time.
Yeah.
Because now I see something like that, I just remember Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah.
So there's only one thing you get left to do. What does that say? After the Zayn to your Nazi boss.
I love that. My son, when he was playing football and over at TM, because of his last name being difficult to pronounce, they called him Stieglitz. And they called him Stieglitz. Yeah. That guy who's the Nazi boss.
Oh my
From this range, I'm over Frederick Zola.
I love that movie.
That's a good movie.
Oh,
first, I forgot. I don't think I saw it at the theaters.
Oh, really?
I didn't.
Man.
I
Shame
saw it.
on you.
I think I saw it here. Or did I buy it? I don't remember where I saw it.
We saw it at the theater. We always see Tarantino when it comes out to theaters, and then we'll turn around and, of course, buy him because we've liked him all. Django and...
Oh, that was such a good movie, too. Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, I kicked myself because I was like, why didn't I see this at the theater, man?
You know, it's funny, going back to Westerns for a minute, you could tell The Mandalorian was really kind of... It feels like... In the storyboard, you watch the storyboards at the very end, it looks like they were watching, you know, like... spaghetti westerns because he steps in the screen, you know, like it's like empty doorway, steps in the screen. I'm like, dude, I mean, come on, who's not seen a spaghetti western? Because that's like, and then the girl, and it's like, oh my god, everything like is like a spaghetti western.
There was a shot where like there was a droid that they were trying to escape when they were trying to rescue, and the droid falls with that shot
the whole thing,
and you can see him like through the bullet hole, and you know what I mean. That's
style is awesome.
I love that. I love that stylization. I'm a big Western fan, and I mean that's kind of where they were going with the original Star Wars. Was kind of it had a Western, like space opera Western kind of feel to it. But again, that's going back to what I said at the very beginning. I thought it was more action driven than character driven, and that's kind of, because that's what we're going for. It's just like we're telling a story, and it's just going to be entertaining. And
I need to know why Luke is looking at the twin suns in the horizon like that.
Looking off in the middle distance.
You seem troubled, sir. Do you need to go to the restroom?
But I'm curious where Star Wars is going to lead us to, and what they're, I know we have some of the stuff that they're planning to do, but how are they going to get us there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And even seeing the real direction that they're taking with these movies. Because I know there's been speculation, like Rian Johnson was going to do his own thing, and then they're talking about, we are going to have movies set in the Knights of the Old Republic era, but it seems like everything's just up in the air. And I'm like, I need to know these things. We have a podcast.
That's how they keep us, in tenterhooks. It's just like,
and then we discussed this a little bit, that just being a Star Wars fan is a roller coaster ride itself. Not just watching the content is a roller, but actually just being a fan of it.
And what's going to happen next?
What are
they going to do? What are they going to make?
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is like the best time for us, being able to appreciate the originals and even the prequels and such. And then it's like, oh man, Star Wars is over. And all of a sudden, in October of 2012 or whatever, like Disney bought Lucasfilm. I'm like. Heavy. I think it was the cat with the heavy breathing. Because I think it was shortly after they made that press release, they're like, and we're coming out with 3 films. Like, what?
You gonna go to Disney World?
I'm planning on it because like I said, I own my 2 lightsabers. I really want to make my own. Of course, now I want to make the black one. Now that I know it's a thing, I will tell y'all the nerdiest thing I do. I take students on trips. I've gone to student council stuff, and 5,000 people here in Texas. 5,000 people at these conventions. They turn the lights on. It's hard to find anybody.
Just holding
Robert Steagall.
He's got the dog saber.
I can't wait to do that. That'll be. But no, I have one of those really. I have 3 lightsabers. I have a really inexpensive, like $45 one that Target used to have, and it was really, like if I'm gonna fence with it.
Yeah, it's good.
But then of course I have the Rey and I have the Kylo Ren, but I want to make my own. I am a nerd. I want to own my own lightsaber that's personalized for me. But yeah, and they're in my man cave. Actually I got it in my car, but I'm gonna have them hang like crossed in my man cave.
Oh, nice, awesome, very nice.
Because I'm a nerd like that.
I'm interested in what they would have. For anyone who made the Darksaber, because that one isn't more. That one's more. It looks like an actual sword.
Well, the thing is,
it's like pointed at the.
Well, the thing is, okay. You make your own sword with the crystal when you go there, and basically, for a while there, people's like, they had an app. Well, okay. It used to be. It said the crystals, and one of them said black, and everyone was like, So they started just getting black ones. So they covered them up so you couldn't see, but the barcode's still available. So for a while, somebody came up with an app. If you had your phone, you could scan and see which one was the black crystal.
You can't trick us.
I don't know if that still exists now, or if they've changed the game up or not.
Yeah.
But I've heard stories like that. I'm again, that's the great thing about being an adult with a disposable income, and I'm going to do stuff like that. In fact, we talked about this summer. I don't know if we're going to get to do it this summer or next summer, but I know it's going to happen because I want to do it before I have grandkids, So because if we're going to take grandkids, it's like I don't want to go in there, right? Like, you disappoint me, great child. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to go before I have grandkids. That's the main.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, I know. I want to go. My wife and I have been talking about it. Now they have 2 rides open.
What?
The second round is supposed to be sometime earlier than New Year. I don't know.
Right.
Quite when.
So they might have to.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
Well, if you go, get the saber mailed to you. Don't take it on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
You take it on the plane. Everybody mess with you. Everybody's like, oh, we torch. It's like, hey, mind your own, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, just know if this is real, I'll slice you in half.
We're going to have to confiscate the... Oh, jeez.
Hey, TSA's already checking me. They confiscated a really good bottle of Black Label whiskey from me. No, Black Label Hornitos from Mexico from me one time. So I'm like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
I was so mad. Oh, it was hot. So yeah.
That sucks. What part of Mexico did you go to?
Actually, Mexico City. And my wife and I, for our anniversary a couple of years ago, we went to Hotel Central, it's downtown Mexico City, and stayed there for about a week. And it was really inexpensive. And everybody goes, "Oh, Mexico." I was like, "Oh my God, it was wonderful." I have basic. Yo hablo un poquito español, pero mi esposa la maestra español, pero mi abuelita me habla español. Some people in my family, I speak Un poquito.
Well, you did that pretty good.
Well, because I got a good ear for pronunciation, but my wife will tell you. She'll start like hitting me with hers, and I'm like, okay, yo soy americano. Oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, no, I got an ear for it. And I can usually understand generally when it's spoken to me. But yeah, Mexico City was a lot of fun. When I go back, but yeah. Anyway,
Nice.
But Disney's my big.
Yeah, that's a target. Stay on target.
Definitely. Stay on target. Yeah.
Did you get that one?
I got it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I got it. I'm here. Hi.
The bird.
It's from this little movie that came out.
God, what?
I missed it.
Yeah. Wait, what is this?
You're all, what am I doing? What is this?
CGI puppets, man.
Oh, yeah.
Where is that?
Oh, yeah.
Where is that?
That was beautiful.
No.
CGI puppets.
I'm just saying.
We've gotten to say
No.
Have you ever heard of a CGI puppet?
No, we're not going there today.
No?
Nope.
CGI. That was classic.
We've gotten to say a
I
couple
just
one-liners,
enjoyed
and that
the
one just
style
stuck
of the
with me.
CGI of the Force Ghost because it looked like the original Yoda puppet.
Right.
That is all.
Yeah, no, I
that
get
was
you.
it.
I get you.
That was all. And then now it's this.
Yeah.
Now it is this.
She called it a CGI puppet.
It was a CGI puppet, and it was great, and I enjoyed it. That's all. That's it. Damn, I thought we were like
They will never let that go.
You will
New
never.
Year. It was a new year. I thought we were over this.
I will be on my deathbed, and if I see you, be like,
CGI puppet.
try not to forget
Just
me.
choking it out.
CGI puppet.
So he's like my last words like, come here, closer.
With my last breath.
Or seagulls.
Oh, my God.
And this one guy's last words were CGI puppet. You see the background. What the
Wow.
Anyway,
Where can I buy one of those?
Yeah.
stop.
Maybe in Disney World. You should do that. You go to Disney World.
As for CGI.
Yeah, right. It's a Star Wars world. Do y'all have any of those CGI puppets? I'll do it for you.
Praise Lewis.
No.
I saw someone that did a cosplay. It was supposed to be like a Force Ghost, and they put
Yes.
it was,
Like that
he had
man
the robe, and then all over
That
him.
was awesome.
That is awesome, man. Yeah.
So you just
What? No,
buy
it's
a regular Yoda doll. You throw that shit on them, and CGI puppet.
Actually, it's funny though. There's it's on Facebook. I probably posted it. I dressed up for when I went to go see it. And
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I have
I
a.
don't even know if I saw that.
It's on my.
Oh, I was like my phone. So
Oh, okay.
Give me a second.
That's not a puppet. That's cool though.
well, I know that's what I was saying. If you get like
okay.
a Yoda
doll and put the blue man.
Fine, if you
Yeah.
want to be really
Cool.
technical, make a Yoda doll and carve it where you can hold it like a puppet. Oh, badass. Maybe I did see that.
That's in my classroom.
Oh, nice.
So awesome.
I like
The thing
that.
is that robe. The really cool thing about that robe is there's a company called Historical Emporium, and that costume's actually I use it for lots of different things because I go to the Renaissance Festival, but I use it as a Russian costume because it's like a doctor's smock. And basically, it starts here at your neck and goes all the way like crossways, like the old school medical robe. So then I put a thing around it. And I look like a Russian monk, like a Russian Gajovich. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, that's. I mean, that's cool how it illuminated the whole.
Oh well, the thing is that the Kylo Ren sword is bright.
Yeah.
And of course, I was fortunate. I had a student who had the iPhone 11, so I was like, let me get a picture of that.
Yeah.
Nice. Is that what you have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Pro.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really good for without flash. It just simply keeps the exposure open for a few seconds to bring in more light to it.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, there's some pictures that I've taken with minimal lights, and it looks like the light is on the room, but it was in reality it was
Pitch black.
next to pitch black. Yeah,
Oh wow, that's awesome.
yeah, it's really neat how they did that.
Well,
That's why I'm hoping this works out with that anamorphic lens on there. And now I have the iPad.
Animorphs?
Yes. Yes.
Do we get to pick what animorph we are? They get to be the
I mean,
leopard.
if you want to. She's got CGI puppets.
I got CGI puppets. That's mine.
Make your next
That's
request.
mine.
It all comes full circle.
I know.
It's okay.
I just want to make sure you feel like you're included.
I was just trying to
Is she breathing? CGI puppets.
stop.
Is she awake?
You know, I hope, because she starts her new job Monday morning.
Monday.
Oh, you start Monday.
She starts Monday. You know,
Congrats.
at
Good luck.
Thank you.
local hospital. I just hope when you're not
Oh, you not want to say it? Is she
working over somebody,
oh
it's just not
God.
like repeating in the back of your head, CGI puppets, CGI puppets, CGI puppets.
All right. Now that you say it,
What style of nurse are you?
Christ.
Sorry.
What style of nurse are you?
NICU.
I used to work labor and delivery when I was in the military.
Oh,
I was a
fun.
corpsman. I delivered babies at Bethesda Naval Hospital a long time ago.
Wow,
I love the babies.
the baby.
I love
The
the
babies.
babies.
They all look like Baby Yoda.
Yes.
They all look like Winston Churchill. But yeah. You ever see them?
Yeah, they're
Push their forehead up. We should
Yeah.
fight them on the water. We should fight them on the land. We should never surrender. They all look like that. Every single one of them. Look like, just get a little cigar from them. They all look like Winston Churchill. Baby, guy, baby, girl, didn't matter.
Just get like a little light, like glass frame.
Except for Mikey, he came out with sunglasses.
I came out like
That must have been uncomfortable at a lot of levels. Like,
came out like, God damn it, this is bright. Stay true.
Oh,
ever
my
since.
So
So
we're gonna wrap up this episode.
it's a wrap.
It's a frap.
It's a
Wait, before we go, last thing before we go, we got the Mandalorian's name. Din Djarin?
yes. Jesus. If you had-
We actually got to see his beautiful face too.
I know.
Briefly,
Very briefly.
because it wasn't a living
the one
creature.
time we get to see him play a good guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on now. He was good as the Viper. Game of Thrones?
I don't know
Oh, yeah. Morally gray.
yeah.
That's where I
was
live.
there.
God damn it.
There.
Not a good guy. Yeah.
Between him and the mountain.
Okay, yeah, okay. Between the two of them, but I don't think
He
there's
was-
much. I don't think there's
Yeah.
much anybody
No.
else.
The only difference, he chose to finally wear the helmet, and it works.
Yes.
You
Well, he's gonna play a
helmet?
villain again before too long in Wonder Woman 2, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He got blonde hair. They're gonna
that's
dye his
right.
hair blonde. He's gonna be
Yeah.
like some infomercial dude. I'm kind of looking forward to it. Just remembering the '80s,
that.
I'm looking kind of forward to it.
Right. Just set it and forget it.
Yeah.
nice. Set it and forget it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Sarah. No more.
He played a good
CGI.
guy in Narcos
No
too.
more.
There you go. Sorry.
Can we leave
Well, again,
CGI
morally gray,
puppets?
that-
We're gonna leave it
Javier
Okay.
Pena was a good guy.
I mean, I'm sure I'm going to say something
Some
else.
stuff
Okay.
is
January
He worked for
3rd.
the DEA.
The
Okay.
last day for CGI puppet.
All right. You heard it. Heard it from him.
January 3rd is the last day for
Last day.
CGI puppet.
Yeah, I'm not making that guarantee.
2045.
So we could find one. It's never great. It's like I don't. Once a year on her death, someone leaves an odd-looking CGI puppet in my grave.
Yeah, on your headstone,
It's like,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be like,
Who doth find
They
the
forgot
CGI puppet?
all right, Sarah, wrap it up for us. You did a great job today.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
think you did a great
Right.
job. You did a
That's
great
it.
job.
It's a wrap.
No,
We're
that can't be
on
it.
Facebook, Instagram,
Yes,
Whatever still exists.
YouTube,
YouTube.
whatever's
Whatever we
there.
still exist on that hasn't been deemed controversial.
Instagram. Oh, I already said that. Well, not anymore.
Now, yeah.
Now we're on Instagram.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Nice.
Thank you, Steggy, for being here.
Thank y'all for having me. I